there. So you all should be able to see my slides right now. And I want to say thank you all for making the time to be here. Um, and thank you to HAYVN for hosting me. I love, I'm a huge HAYVN fan. So I know there's at least one new member on this presentation. So welcome, you're gonna love it. And let's get started. So I'd like to see a show of hands. So raise your hand if you have your list of goals for 2021, if you know what you're going to be tackling. Okay. Raise your hand if you're still figuring it out, if you're still trying to decide what you want to accomplish. Raise your hand if you just want to take the entire year off. Well, wherever you are in your goal setting process, the steps I'm going to share with you today should help you with every step of the way. So if you know what you want to accomplish, if you have your goals written in pen, these steps will help you validate what you're working on. If you're still figuring it out, these steps will definitely help you do that. And if you're one of the people who wants to take the whole year off, that's actually a goal. So this might help you with that as well. And goal setting for me is not necessarily a quick process. When I do this with my clients, we take a few hours to do it because I think there is a ton of value in investing your time and energy up front to make sure that you are setting the right goals at the right time. So we're going to go through some highlights of my goal setting process. And like Sam mentioned, I'd like this to be interactive. So if you have a question, if you have a comment, if you want me to clarify something, please either put something in chat, raise your hand, or interrupt me. We'll also have time for questions at the end. So if you didn't ask a question as we went along, no problem. So here's what I think it's like to be a small business owner, right? Like all of these things and more need to be accomplished. And especially if you're a solopreneur, it can be very, very, very overwhelming. You have to do all of these things. And even if you have help doing them, you're responsible, right? You're ultimately responsible for making these things happen. And it can feel like, sort of standing at the bottom of a mountain looking at the top, and maybe not even being able to see the top because it's so far up there, and thinking like, what are the right things for me to do? What should I be doing first? What should I be doing next? How is this all going to get done? Well, goal setting helps with that. The impact of not making the right decisions and not tackling the right action steps at the right time can have a huge impact, right? So you might feel like you're wasting your very valuable resources, right? There's really nothing more valuable than your time, your energy, and your money. So if you're wasting some of those, that won't get you to where you want to go. And you might be missing opportunities as well. So very often when we focus on a goal that we want to accomplish, we get our head down, we really focus on it, but you might be missing other opportunities that are coming by that are better opportunities for you. And maybe there's some anxiety, maybe you're losing a little sleep, maybe you've got some worry going on. Maybe your business is not the way that you want it to be. Maybe you're not the way you want to be as the business owner. Maybe this is not going the way you expected it to. Maybe it has in the past, but right now it's not. Maybe it hasn't been for a while. So I think all of this shines a light on the importance of a process, because I feel like if you have a step-by-step process, it creates clarity, and clarity leads to success, right? So clarity is the key to the whole thing. And I want to really emphasize, and I'm probably going to say this a couple of times, we are only talking about goal setting today. It is just the first piece of the puzzle of running a business, but it's the piece that people tend to like to skip because it's a lot more fun to jump into the action, right? It's a lot more fun to dive in and get doing. But I think it's a terrible idea to skimp on this particular part. And here's why. I have a friend who was in the Coast Guard, and he told me one of the things that they learned in their classes was if a ship captain got the navigation wrong from the beginning, and even if she got it wrong by like 1 degree, her ship could wind up miles and miles off course. And I thought, I can't imagine being that captain standing on the ship. I've got this entire ship, all the people on it, all the stuff on it, and I brought them to the entirely wrong place because I didn't get it right from the beginning. And that's what happens when we skimp on goal setting. If you don't set your destination clearly, you're going to wind up somewhere, but it's probably not where you want to go. So we're going to focus specifically on setting the destination. So let's look at some ways to get that really right. The first is to make your goals matter. You are not here to play small, right? You are here to change the world by doing what you do best. That's really one of the great joys and benefits of having your own business. So when you think about goal setting, you want to think about goals that will have an impact, that make a difference for you and your business, your customers, your clients, your team, goals that will really allow you to have the impact that you want to have. So we're not talking about tasks. We're not talking about things that you can check off, like make that phone call, schedule that meeting, send that email. Those are things that will roll up into goals. We're talking about bigger things. We're talking about things like expanding your team. And maybe that means making your first hire. We're talking about things like crafting a new program or a new offering, something brand new to serve your clients. Maybe it is crafting a really effective, authentic sales process that helps you convert to more sales. Maybe it's reaching out to a new type of client, maybe a segment of the population you haven't been serving before. So that's the scale that we're talking about here. It's not the make the phone call, it's the offer a new program, expand my team, that sort of thing. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, good. And you might find that your goal is scary. And if you do, congratulations, because when you get an emotional response to it, that tells you you're on the right track. If you don't have that emotional response, if you just feel kind of like, oh, okay, then you're probably not thinking big enough, or you're not thinking in the right direction. And if it's not, if it's not a big deal, it's not going to have the impact that you want it to have, right? Remember, we're here to make an impact. We're not here to just coast through life. That's not why you started a business. That's not why you do the work you do. You're here to impact others and serve others. So when you feel that feeling in your stomach, maybe it's butterflies, or maybe you feel it somewhere else in your body, that's really, really good. And it might feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. I think it's a great indication that you're on the right track. And another way to make sure that you're on the right track is to really know, what's your definition of success? What does success mean for you? It's very, very easy to get sidetracked or distracted by seeing other people succeeding, especially with social media, especially with marketing. I mean, the whole point of those things is to really make ourselves look good, right? To make ourselves look like we're thriving, to really influence others. And that's really what we see in social media and marketing. So it can be easy to say like, oh, well, that person does something similar, I should probably be doing that. Or I'm supposed to be doing this because I see other people doing that. And that's not necessarily the case. What you really want to do is be true to yourself. So know, what does success mean for you? Does it mean a lot of money? Does it mean a lot of clients? Does it mean serving in a different way? What does it mean? One way to figure it out is to know what your values are. So what is important to you? What is true for you? If you have a value of education, maybe creating an online course is a great goal for you, because that will help you teach others. If you have a value of communication or connection, maybe hosting events, even if they're virtual. Events just like this connects people together, brings community together. That's one way to honor that value, so you're doing the right thing for you. If you have a value of being at ease, maybe it's seeing how you're spending your time and making any adjustments you need to make. Are you working too much? Are you not working enough? What do you need to do to kind of get that seesaw in some sort of equilibrium? We're never going to get it, exactly like this. That's not how life is meant to be lived. It's going to be seesaw. But make sure, if you want to feel at ease, that you are, kind of allocating yourself in the way that you want to. So making your goals matter, thinking really big, being a little scared, and being true to yourself are some ways to really know that you're on track. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. So the next step is actually an anti-step. And that is, don't think about how you're going to make your goal happen. This is just the number one dream killer, asking yourself how. Because, well, I'll start off by saying this is the typical goal setting arc, right? We say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. This is the what, and this is how I'm going to do it. The problem is, when you come up with a really big goal, chances are you don't know how you're going to make it happen. And that's actually a good thing. If you knew exactly how you were going to do it from start to finish, if you could recognize all of the things that you have to do immediately, it's probably something you've already done before, which means it's not going to take you anywhere new. It's not going to give you new results. It's not going to give you anything bigger. It's going to give you the same results. So when you think about what you want to do, and then you immediately shift to how, if you don't have the answer, you feel uncomfortable. And humans like to feel comfortable, right? Like we're always trying to get into a state of comfort. So it's very easy to try to make your goals smaller and more doable. But like I said, the risk you run with that is winding up, just staying in the same place, not getting any new results. So instead of wondering how, just remind yourself, again, we're only talking about goal setting here. That's all we're talking about. We're just picking the destination. Once you know what your destination is, meaning once you know what your goal is, then you can start to plot your course to get there. And the other thing that I want to reassure you is, once you know what you want to accomplish, while you will have to worry about, or you'll have to figure out how to do it, you don't have to go it alone, right? So you can find somebody who's done something similar and get some help from that person. You can take some training. You can get some resources. There are billions of people on this planet. There is somebody who's going to be able to help you. There might even be parts of it that you just give to somebody else to do. There's nothing that says that you have to do every step of it in order to accomplish this goal. So I would encourage you, don't worry about how. Not yet. What I will say is, you want to focus on why you want to do this goal in the first place. Why is this important? So you want to ask yourself a lot of questions that start with the word why. Why is this important? Why is it important to me? Why is it important to my business, to my clients, to my team, to the people around me? This is another way of validating that you are connecting the action that you're taking to your values, to your definition of success, making sure that it's true for you. Because when you get that connection really, really strong, it's almost impossible to fail, right? Because you're really making it something that is so true for you that you're going to make this happen. We talked a little bit about values before. So knowing what are strong values for you, and making sure that when you ask yourself, why is this goal important? The more of your values that pop up into your answers, the better, right? It's more validation, more confirmation that you're on the right track. It's also asking yourself, why will I be successful? So one of the things I do when we do this goal setting process with my clients is we create a personal success inventory. So very often we talked about the typical goal setting arc, which is what am I going to do and how I'm going to do it, which is what we're trying to disrupt here. Very often it's, okay, this is what I'm going to do. What do I need to make this happen? I encourage you instead to think, what have I got that's going to make this happen? What do I already have available to me that will make me successful? What do I know about myself, my experience, my training, my education? What about the people around me? What about the resources I've already invested in? You have way more available to you than you might think that will make you successful. So I encourage you, before you figure out what you need to make it happen, identify what have you got that's going to support you. Okay. It makes you come from a place of much bigger power. Because it reassures you like, oh, okay, I may not know how to do everything that I want to do, and I may not have all the resources I need, but I'm really further along than I realized I was, and I can make this happen, even if it's a little scary. The other thing that sometimes happens when you're asking yourself all of these why questions, why is this important? Why is it important to me, my customers, that sort of thing? If you can't come up with a lot of solid answers, that is a really good indication that this might not be a good goal for you, at least not right now. If you can't tether it to something that's true for you, it's entirely possible that your goal idea is this nice, shiny, bright object that slipped past the bouncer and got on your goal list. And I see this happening. I'll be honest with you, this is happening for me right now. So I have been working with my coach to lay out my first quarter of this year. I'm clear on my goals. I'm clear on why I want to make them happen. I've got my list. This second I did that, I got an email inviting me into a course I had been thinking about that teaches me how to do something that's not on my current goal list. And it's very attractive, right? It's like, oh yes, this is something I want to learn. It's coming at a good price. I really should sign up for this. But what I'm doing is I'm reminding myself, hang on, I do want to do that, but not this second. I have these other things that I want to prioritize, these other things that I have said, these are the important things to do right now. So this is what I'm going to focus on. So don't be surprised if when you are working on your goal list, the universe challenges you a little bit and says, like, look at this shiny little bauble here. Do you want to work on this instead? And if you're scared to tackle what you really want to tackle, it can be very easy to reach for the shiny stuff. I can't be the only person who gets tempted by bright, shiny objects at times. And the last thing I want to say about this is a quote by Chelsea Dinsmore. And I say this every time I give this talk, I say this quote because I think if you take nothing else away, this is such a great support quote. And that is, when you question not what you can do, but why it's important, the how reveals itself. I'll say that again. When you question not what you can do, but why it's important, the how reveals itself. And what that says to me is when I'm clear on why I'm doing something, I will make it happen. I'll do anything to make it happen. The doors will open up. I will find the solutions that I need because it's so important to me to accomplish this thing. And I'll say it's the same for you as well. Okay. Once you are getting clear on your goal ideas, you have to decide what gets let go. And I don't mean what gets let go in your goal. I don't mean make your goal smaller and more doable. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying set your priorities. So as humans, especially, I think we're mostly women on this call, we tend to feel like, okay, I'm going to do these 17 things at one time because we're awesome at multitasking. However, that doesn't mean everything gets done really, really well. And when we're talking about big needle moving goals, you really want to focus on fewer things and do each thing well. So it's a question of priorities. What are you going to spend your time and your energy and your money on now? And that might mean setting something aside that you're doing now so you can focus on this new thing that has a higher priority. And it could also be less tangible things like limiting beliefs, right? So we have, some of you may have joined my talk on limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are a wonderful thing to let go of. They are stories that we tell ourselves that keep us small, that keep us safe, that keep us from really going out and doing the big things that we want to do. And that's the problem with them. You know, they're a protective mechanism that we employ, and they keep us from having a bigger impact. So when I think in terms of giving things up, I think a priority, setting priorities so I let go of the less important, and also trying to conquer my limiting beliefs so that those don't trip me up. The bigger the goal that you have, the stronger your limiting beliefs can be. And they really want to like grab you by the ankles and just hang on. We can talk for a couple of hours on limiting beliefs. I'll just give you a couple of quick tips here so you feel like you have something there. With limiting beliefs, what you want to do, get really clear on what it is, write that sentence down, and replace it with its polar positive opposite. And then that becomes your mantra. And you fake that till you make it. You repeat it to yourself over and over and over. Okay. I'm going to check the chat really quick because I see a couple of things in there. See if there are any questions. Yes, love that quote. Me too. Yep. Okay. So any questions right now? Check in the chat. Do I have any ideas about how to identify limiting beliefs? I think when I've done this work with clients, when you sit down and you say, okay, what do I believe to be true? That's a limiting belief. They tend to come pretty easily. I'll give you some examples. Limiting beliefs could be, if I raise my prices, I'll lose all of my clients. Or if I offer this thing, nobody's going to want it. Or I need to get things perfectly lined up before I take any action. I need to learn more before I take any action. Those are, so think in terms of what's stopping you from taking action or doing something specific. That's a limiting belief. Here's what I know to be absolutely 100% true. When you set the right goal at the right time, nothing can stop you. Think back to that quote that I shared. When you have aligned yourself with a really important goal that is tethered to what's true for you, you know it's the right way for you to show up in the world and serve others. I mean, people just need to get out of your way because you're just going to just fly down that path and make it happen. That's not to say it's going to be super easy and you're going to be able to do it like that. It's, there are going to be times where you have to do hard work and it's going to be tough. And once you accomplish it, you're going to know that you have done what's right for you because you've really taken the time to set your priorities and set the right goals for you. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so I want to answer any other questions that you might have, but first I want to give you a couple of things. So since you registered for this talk, I have two things to offer you that kind of supplement what we've been talking about here. The first is a goal setting and productivity toolkit that I wrote. And I'm really proud of this. It takes everything that I know about goal setting. So today we just scratched the surface, right? But it's got the steps for my process. It's got worksheets for you to do. It's got things that you can, steps that you can take to make sure that you're setting the right goals. So I'll give you that. And I also want to give you a better than ever strategy session. This is actually a phone call with me where we will take the time to clarify your vision for you and your business. And we're going to take a look at what are the roadblocks that are stopping you from having that. And they're probably not exactly what you think they are. Then we're going to connect with some next right action steps for you. So I always leave people with what's some action that you can take to get to where you want to be.